It is interesting how people seem to think the election was about whether or not you wanted Trump as president or Biden. It was actually about saving the USA and getting us out of China's grasp. China has embedded themselves in every aspect of our culture, from our politicians on both sides. They already own the Democrats, but they also made a friendlies list indicating all the Republicans that are in their pocket. To Hollywood, to the media, and to Silicon Valley. Trump was actually the final firewall, hence the Executive Order 13959.
这儿我抛出一个可能又要是暴论了，就是因为咱们上边有人，就是我们在美国的权势核心圈啊，我们有我们的老朋友。就过去这个30年啊，过去40年，我们在美国的他的这个利用他权势核心圈，是不是？我前面讲过，华尔街在1970年代开始对美国它的内政外交有非常强的影响力，所以我们有路径依赖，是吧？但问题是08年之后，华尔街的地位下降了，更重要的是16年之后，华尔街搞不定特朗普，为什么？很尴尬，特朗普以前对华尔街有过一次软性违约，所以双方有矛盾啊。那么这个中美贸易战过程中，他们也试图帮忙啊。据我所知，美方的朋友跟我讲，这个试图帮忙，但是力有不逮啊。但现在呢，现在我们看到拜登上台了，传统的精英、政治精英这个建制派，他们跟华尔街的关系是非常密切的。所以大家看到吧，拜登的儿子被特朗普说你在全球有什么基金公司，发现没有？谁帮他建的基金公司啊？明白吗？这个都有买卖啊。那么，所以这个时候
The globalists used every resource they owned, including the media, to destroy Trump. 90% of all media outlets are owned by only 6 groups. That makes it an easy target for corruption. In 1963, there was a congressional hearing which showed the goals of the U.S. Communist Party. I'll include the link in the description below. As you can see, most of the goals are actually already accomplished. But now in 2020, we saw COVID, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, historical wildfires, lockdowns, coin shortages, and ammo shortages. These are not coincidences. These are not the result of bad luck. These were strategic. COVID was meant to attack the world economy, hurt Trump's chances at re-election, and it also created the reason why we had to use the mail-in ballots, which was used to help steal the election. Before you deny that possibility because it was worldwide and not just in the USA, remember Trump taking the US out of the Paris Accord, the Iran nuclear deal, changing NAFTA, and renegotiating trade with China hurt the pockets of all of our enemies. Black Lives Matter and Antifa were used to create racial unrest and tax the already hard-hit economy further, and of course this came after COVID, which also gave everyone an excuse to wear a mask. This meant it would be harder to identify these thugs all year, and they could continue to make chaos. Coincidence? Of course not. Historical wildfires. The US and Australia saw historical wildfires, which continued to tax the economy, but it also gave them an excuse to blame climate change.
There is something so fundamental that also cannot be denied, and that is climate change.
Even though many arson arrests were made in both countries. Lockdowns. The lockdowns suppressed the economy and of course were more tyrannical in blue cities. And of course with Biden entering the office, suddenly those same blue city mayors and governors are suddenly demanding to open the economy. The reason? They get their promised payoff from the Biden administration while clearing out many small businesses so big corporations can take up the space, leading the way to the stakeholder economy they're shooting for as opposed to the shareholder economy. Coin shortages. Coins recirculate. There's no actual shortage, but they're putting that in people's minds for a reason. For the new currency they're aiming at, Ammo shortages. COVID closed down mines in Peru that led to ammunition production. Coincidence? Or was that the entire point? Are they disarming us without violating our constitutional rights? Again, these are not coincidences. These are not the result of 2020 being the worst year by bad luck. Each one of these things was strategic. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist movement. They just used George Floyd as an excuse. Here's a link to this page to show you the damage that Black Lives Matter and Antifa have done. You can't post this link on Facebook because they won't let you. So I'm going to actually include the link in this video so you could go find it yourself. Now, you can find conflicting reports on what Black Lives Matter is, but my knowledge of history supports the Marxist opinion, and if not Marxist, without a doubt totalitarian. All these efforts do the same thing. They attack history, they use racial unrest, it's all to destabilize. Ernst tried these tactics in Germany when he created the Antifa, but he did fail due to Hitler having his own little efforts run for Nazism. Both Hitler and Ernst were trying to change the government of Germany at the same time, but they both were ultimately bad for the country and the world, but they used very similar tactics. Hitler successfully used his tactics and he created the brown shirts. Mussolini used these tactics when he created the black shirts. Stalin used these tactics. It was called the Great Purge. Oh, which, by the way, we're pretty much in the middle of a purge now, but we'll talk about that in another video. Mao Zedong used these tactics. It was called the Socialist Education Movement and the Cultural Revolution. Pol Pot used these tactics in Cambodia. Che Guevara used these tactics. And they attempted to use these tactics when they tried to bring communism to Japan after the war, but fortunately, thanks to the US occupation, that was stopped. And the Arab Spring saw many of these same tactics, and of course that was financed by who? That's right, George Soros. George Soros wants China to lead the world economy and donated to Black Lives Matter. Don't take my word for it. Listen for yourself. Listen to Soros say he wants China to lead while also saying the U.S. is actually a drag on the world economy.
Because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order. So I think you need a new world order that China has to be part of the process of creating it. And they have to buy in, they have to own it. The fact that the US economy will remain rather weak, will be a drag on the global economy. China will emerge as the motor replacing the US consumer. It forward, and the US will be actually a drag that's being pulled along through a gradual decline in the value of the dollar.
Soros donated to Black Lives Matter to help push the manufactured racial unrest. He did the exact same thing with the Arab Spring. China wants to lead, and President Xi himself said he wanted to lead the New World Order. In order to help take down the USA, China donated to Black Lives Matter to help create the unrest. The big tech and big corporation overreach is proof that the ultimate goal of communism is already happening. They are covering up evidence of election fraud and COVID at an alarming rate. And if you doubt me, in 1999, two colonels in the China's People's Liberation Army wrote the book Unrestricted Warfare. It is a manual on how a country can defeat countries that have superior technology or a superior military force. And of course, the point of the book is for China to defeat the US. And Democrats have a wonderful guidebook on manufacturing crisis called Rules for Radicals. To paraphrase one of the rules in the book, it goes, if the problem does not exist, create it in order to achieve your political goals. Then there's also the book Corona False Alarm, which two doctors kind of go through each and every bit of detail they can about coronavirus and showing how it's a hoax. Yes, the virus exists, but the whole thing is a scam. The website The Barrington Declaration makes many of the same claims, and it's hundreds, if not thousands, of doctors. The globalists, Democrats, and rhinos are getting everyone ready for the Great Reset. We'll go through what the Great Reset is in an upcoming video, but here is the book COVID-19, The Great Reset, and it just happens to be written by the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. By the way, the term Build Back Better, that was originally the slogan of the Great Reset, but now suddenly it's Biden's slogan? Do the math. If you like this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to be updated with new content.